Welcome back to Cycle and Dredge, everybody, where each week we talk about Magic because we love Magic. Go along with the COVID-19 stuff and everything, we're recording, I guess we're all recording
We're
remotely.
practicing social distancing.
Yes, like extreme social distancing here, like 30 miles between us and Nick and 10 feet between us and Roman. We're keeping Roman locked in this closet, so the closet under the stairs.
You're just mad because I can touch every wall in my room from my chair.
That is almost true, sadly. Oh my goodness. Okay, so
you consider it a difficult, or you consider it a minus. I consider it a plus. I don't have to get up off my ass to grab something.
That is very true. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the blah blah blah. I can't talk anymore. I'm done. So the main show topics today, we're going to be doing the effects of COVID-19 on local game stores, and at least what we've experienced. We're not going to take a deep dive into this. And we're going to jump on the bandwagon and talk about these proposed, or sort of proposed, commander rule changes. And we'll explain that sort of part here more in a little bit. But when we get started each week with the show, we like to do random card picks of the week at the beginning and a card pick of the week at the end of the show, because the best way to learn about new Magic cards is to just hear about them serendipitously. So who would like to go first this week?
Let me see here. I guess I can. Let me spin the wheel.
So do you have a actual random card pick, or are you just...
I am actually going random today. Okay, it is Omnath, Locust of Mana, part of a 3-card series, Omnath, Locust of Rage, and Omnath, Locust of the Royal. I know of the other 2 ones. This one is the monocolor one. For 2 and a green mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as steps and phases end. Omnath, Locust of Mana gets +1/+1 for each green mana in your mana pool.
Okay. Nick?
So that's good because like each turn you can tap land to just add the mana to your mana pool and not have to worry about ever using it.
It's basically like a mana bank.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like mana banks?
Mm-hmm.
Nick, do you want to go
John
next?
has no clue if that's a good card or not.
Omnath is actually a very good card.
I'm a very visual person, so I have to see it in front of me, and since we're remote today, that's a little bit more difficult. And I'm monitoring more stuff on my bajillion screens here, so it's a little bit harder to pull it up than normal.
You just complained that you wanted 5.
I do. I only have 3 screens.
I offered you one. You said it wasn't good enough.
It's not. Nick, do you want to go next?
Yeah, mine is a spined sliver. A green and a red for a sliver creature. Whenever a sliver becomes blocked, that sliver gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature blocking it.
Nice.
For slivers, that's amazing.
Yeah, and
it really promotes like an aggressive strategy.
If you've been tempted to go slivers, now is an excellent time to do that with the mystery booster releases too. We've been noticing a lot of decent sliver cards in there.
And then the Kaleidoscope Killers as well.
Yeah. So my random card pick of the day is Free Jam Regent. It's a 4/4 dragon. It costs 4+2 red to put out. It has Improvise. Your artifacts can help cast a spell. Each artifact you tap after you've done it activating mana abilities pays for 1. It has flying, 1+ a red. Free Jam Regent gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I should probably get this for my dragon deck, because it's kind of getting a little artifact heavy, and it's like a 12-cent card apparently.
Yeah, you should.
So I'll have to place an order for that after we're done here. So at any rate, for not the main topic, but with everything going on, we figured we'd at least discuss a couple moments with what's going on with the COVID-19 stuff and how that's affecting our game life in the local stores around us and what we've seen. We were hoping to have one of the local game store owners on tonight from James Farbo from Farbo Co., but unfortunately he's run ragged at the moment and wasn't able to make it in.
And in case any of our Lancaster listeners don't know, He's located at 9 West Grant, right behind Central Market.
Yeah, I know from experience locally here, it's hitting him pretty hard because he's had to shut down all events. He's trying to keep a minimum.
He's shut down his whole store, basically. I mean,
yeah, so let's be clear. We're all based out of the Susquehanna Valley in central Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania a couple days ago asked that all non-essential stores to be shut down. And James is a great participant in the society and is adhering to those rules. Now, that's going to affect him pretty heavily. Now, he seems to be doing a pretty good job keeping everybody together in his Discord channel, and the community is going pretty strong. So the community around Farboco is pretty awesome. And he's trying to do his best to help people in other ways too, including like delivering products to their houses and trying to get his the store catalog up on as quickly as he can so people can at least see what he has without having to like build out an entire web store or anything to that effect. So it's been hard for him. I've seen we have other local game stores like Al Central around us that has done the same, similarly shut down completely. I've seen on Reddit a lot of local game stores are also shutting down. We've seen players, or at least I've seen people online, resort to building specialized rigs to try and join like the EDH playgroup Discord to play paper remotely. Yeah. There's a lot of playgroups that are splitting up, at least for the moment, and this is hitting people pretty hard. What have you guys seen?
Mm-hmm. For me, it's just been Farbo and Al. I haven't really seen much else.
Well, I mean, recently I've had a job at a hospital, and I'm going to say it's basically just chaos there. You know, the different, I guess, sections as far as like nurses and security. There's construction there. No one really knows like what's going on, what the other one's doing, and it's just creating a whole bunch of chaos. Personally, for a disease that isn't really that strong, I think that they should have quarantined anyone with respiratory issues first. And that way, this like cities wouldn't be shutting down because this disease only affects those with respiratory issues. Therefore, quarantine the ones that it affects, not the whole damn city.
Well, unfortunately, too, I think it's a little harder to do that. And we may end up going to something to that effect. And we're still very, very early days yet, so it's hard to figure out the best solution.
Well, I mean, I believe that the chaos is already basically taken over. So at this point, you know, telling certain people that they can't come out the house or something like that is just a moot point. Yeah. Because, like, it's already done. So nothing really you can do now.
No, I don't really know what the best answer for this is. I know from looking online and reading through other people's threads and comments and trying to have a little bit of empathy with the situation, I know it's hitting people pretty hard. So if you have a local game store around you, much like we're lucky enough to have Farboco near us, reach out to them and try and support them the best way you can, because it's going to be difficult for a lot of these places throughout the country to come out on the other side of this unscathed. Mm-hmm. And there's... could be a good
same for the school
closing down, unfortunately. Yeah, and for the schools too. So
which is really affecting me.
Yeah, it's affecting a lot of people. Unfortunately, we can't really say create any kind of clubs or events or anything to help with this because you're going to be.
We have to practice social isolation.
Yeah, so. There's no good answer at the moment.
I mean, I believe in quarantine. I mean, I know. Everyone's sitting there saying, quarantine's a bad word. Use social distancing. That's stupid. It's quarantine, people. Use the correct word.
Well, I think fundamentally they're a little bit different. Quarantining is a little bit more hard fast too, and I think that's why they're trying to stick away from that, because when you say quarantine someone, like you're kind of holding them against their will. That's where social distancing, it's more like stay away from me. I'm
voluntary.
Yeah. So
it's just the impact of words, and we could debate that for days. Yeah, like the semantics of that.
That is very true. At any rate, I think we should move on to our primary topic that we had planned for tonight, these proposed commander rules changes that are going around the web. We decided to jump on the bandwagon with this. I think it's very important to state, I have not actually seen any of these rules or the rules committee come out and make a public statement saying this. from everything that I can gather, it looks like this stems from a podcast that Mark Rosenwater did on his Drive to Work, or an episode that Mark Rosenwater did on his Drive to Work podcast. And then there was a cascade effect there of other bigger content creators commenting on this because it made good episode content and good discussion. Likewise, I think it is a good discussion, and it's maybe one of those better chances for the rules committee to be able to get a lot of really good input on some of this stuff and see where a lot of hard feelings lie, because the stuff that's going to be talked about the most is going to bubble up to the surface more than anything else. So this might not have been a bad thing, but to make it clear, there has been no statement from the rules committee saying that they're actually going to be, or they're implementing any of these rules or changing any of these rules. So let's get...
Yeah, rules committee has said nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just make that perfectly clear here.
The rules committee hasn't said it, but their
pieces of them have.
Yeah, pieces of them have, but they haven't said it as a collective body yet.
The Commander Advisory Group has said a couple things.
Yeah, and that's, well, we got to remember, too, the Commander Advisory Group is just that. They're just advisors. And they're...
Yeah, like Josh Lee Kwai and all those guys.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is those people are, like, direct friends with a lot of
they're
the
friends, but they're also just advisors.
Yeah, their entire position is to reach out to the community, get the feelings around these kinds of things that they may not necessarily understand completely themselves, and get
But
a
if
bigger
they're
part
talking
of the
about
story.
it, so are the rules committee, you know?
Yeah, the rules committee's just waiting to make a statement, though.
Maybe, yeah. So, again...
What I'm saying is 100% the rules committee is talking about it. They're just not talking about it publicly.
Well, I'm sure the rules committee has back channel conversations about this stuff constantly, whether or not it's in the public
They
eye.
have to.
So, I mean, I think that's a given. Again, just to make it clear, it's just that at this moment, they have not come out officially and said that they're considering any of this stuff or asked for public opinion about it. This all seems to stem from content creators and making
Mark
episodes.
Rosewater's
podcast. It cascaded from there. So,
Which also, Mark Rosewater, for those who don't know, is the head of Magic Creative at Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, and if
And
you
he
want,
does not own Wizards of the Coast does not own Commander, as some of you may know.
yeah, I actually listened to the podcast in question here, and Rosenwater makes it very clear that he has nothing to do with Commander. He likes Commander. It was just a topic that he had,
It's
like
just
the whole
stuff he'd want to do.
Yeah, the whole idea of the episode was, well, I get asked this question all the time. If I were to go back and start it from scratch again, and if it were me, this is what I would do. It was more like a Q&A thing, responding to a lot of people's questions more than anything else. And that's it.
Oh man, some people
Well,
don't know how to silence their phones.
oh hush.
I better do that real quick. Oh, it is silenced. I'm better.
It makes it worse for me. It comes out of my entire stereo.
That's okay.
At any rate, we nonetheless, even though these aren't like official changes or anything that anybody's made any kind of active statement on, I think it's worthwhile to still have this public discussion and at least to give our thoughts on it. I can do nothing better than to help serve the community and the rules committee itself too, to hear other people's opinions. So I think that's kind of where we're going with this today. So that's all.
So should we start with hybrid?
Yeah, let's go with hybrid mana. So one of the things that have come up is whether or not the rules around hybrid mana should change, or if they should just, hybrid mana cards should not be allowed. And let's be clear, or make it clear, that when we're talking about hybrid mana, we're talking about where the mana pip symbol has two colors in it. It's not a two-color card where it costs one black pip and a green pip. It's a black or green pip, like it where the mana symbol is cut in half and it's two different colors.
As a good example, those who have opened Foil Reaper Kings from Mystery Booster, those are all hybrid manas.
Correct. Yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I think.
Well, my opinion on it, at first I was like all for it until I started seeing the repercussions. So like they had stated earlier on the Professor's channel, I believe it was, that if you start allowing hybrid mana into like monocolor decks per se, as most people would want, you're going to have like people having all types of weird decks with different interactions. It's going to get confusion. Like when someone says destroy a target, black card, but you're playing like a mono white deck, but the card they're targeting is a card with hybrid mana that has black in it.
Yeah.
It's like, is this card black?
That has
You
been
know?
so far the most convincing argument that I've seen. Like, if you allow hybrid mana into a single color deck, does that mean that the other color of that card does not count whatsoever? And if it does, that completely... And this is where I'm a little bit more of a purist as far as card texts go. So I think if you do that and then you negate a whole bunch of card text out there and throw it out the window, that's only going to be a detriment more than anything else.
But then, like, not only that, but like if we start allowing hybrid
Deathrite
mana
Shaman,
decks,
for example,
or Deathrite Shamans into
and like
certain
mono black
decks,
decks.
how are we going to deal with people who then want, let's say, Phyrexian mana into any decks, because that has an alternate paying cost where you
That
can
is fair
pay
enough.
2 life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see that more often than. I could see that more valid than hybrid mana, to be honest.
That means every deck would get mental misstep, essentially.
Well, yeah, everyone would have access to a counterspell. Everyone would have access to what's it called? What's that? Look at the target hand card for Axiom.
Gitaxian Probe.
Yeah, Gitaxian Probe. Everyone would have access to Norn's Annex. I mean, can you imagine a red deck getting their hands on Norn's Annex?
I honestly think they should just keep hybrid the way it is.
Yeah, as far as I feel, it really needs to be a and clause. It's a red and a white, not a red or a white, because you start screwing with the core rules of Magic, and more specifically what the card text itself says. And that's just going to throw... If people think the format of Commander is confusing now, that's really going to make things a lot more...
Well, if you say red and in white, now are you making them pay both?
Well, no.
Because that's what the English would state.
So what I'm saying by that is the color identity of the card is both red and white. As far as the card says, and this is where I go back to being a purist of the card, the mana pip on that card denotes a single cost. That can be a red card or a white card, but because of the way the mana pip is symbolized, it has the color identity of being a red and a white card. And that has repercussions and direct effects on other cards, especially for Commander. So I think that's where the issue lies. At least for me, that's my biggest issue with it.
So
it makes sense to me too, because like Deathrite Shaman being a Golgari card makes more sense than it being a mono black or a mono green card.
Yeah, like a perfect example. Say I put the Deathrite Shaman in a mono black deck, and someone has Doomblade that targets a non-black creature. Are they allowed to target my Deathrite Shaman now because there's green in it?
They'd have to rewrite a ton of rules.
Yeah,
and errata a lot of text.
Yeah, I think it's going to...
It just doesn't make sense logistically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless you like making have tons of more work to deal with.
No.
Yeah.
I think Commander's pretty good for the most part the way it is.
Commander's very healthy right now.
It is. So moving on to the next thing, Commander damage.
Just keep the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my stance.
I've seen arguments on this, different ways about doing it, maybe like making a total Commander damage of 50 for everything from one player, or other various things like that. But the bottom line is, if you start changing things like that, then you're going to start making people the target. Like, if you can do 50 commander damage to a single player, and like 50, if you yourself can do 50 total commander damage divided between players and win the game, well, then you're going to Voltron someone and hit the weakest player consistently, and people are just going to keep going after the weakest player, and then it's just going to make it miserable for them.
Are the threat.
Yeah. So,
like the most threatening player. Like, the reason I'm so adamant against upping the commander damage is because of decks like Prosh.
Yeah, I agree. And the biggest argument that I see people doing or saying for this is because they don't like keeping track of the commander damage, or it's an additional thing to keep track of. Quite frankly, and I try not to call people out and be rude on the podcast, but if that's your argument for this, then you're lazy. It's not that hard to put up a dice, and we have apps for this that track it. I mean, in our play group alone, we regularly use an app that keeps track of individual commander damage. Like, it's
and
not
like other podcasts like Game Nights have come out with apps that do this as well.
Yeah,
okay.
There are tons of possibilities for this.
I don't think we should up the commander damage Something I think we should up is infect and other win condition type things like that. So like poison counters and such.
Okay, so
I think
agree
we
with
should
that.
definitely up them to 20.
that's a good idea.
When poison came out, it was supposed to be at half your life, which was 10.
And it's a modern mechanic, if we're going to be honest about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Blightsteel
modern.
Colossus is pretty commander-ish.
Well, I'm just saying, like the before Blightsteel, everything was like just 1/1s.
Yeah.
that makes
So
sense. And I agree with that. But as far as that, going on your same lines of thinking there, what do you think about other cards that have like when the game clauses, like say Felidor Sovereign or something
I'm
like
fine
that?
with them. Like lab man effects are great.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And people are calling to rewrite these or say that they shouldn't take effect. But I think, again, my biggest issue with this is if you start getting rid of them, then you're either looking at a huge ban list all of a sudden, you're eliminating a lot of win conditions, or you're going
and the
back.
CEDH people would just stop.
Yeah.
Like lab man effects and like Thassa's Oracle, like all the I win effects are really prevalent in CDH, like specifically the Thassa's demonic consultation combo.
Yeah.
Well, then Demir Inverter with
Well, no, that's more of a pioneer combo. Like you don't see that in CEDH as much. You see the demonic consultation and the Thassa's Oracle.
well, I put it in my Moltrotha Protean Hulk deck.
Oh no, I'm not saying you never see
Yeah.
it. I'm just saying, like Thassa's Oracle demonic consultation is more prevalent.
Yeah.
So it goes back to again, changing the text of the card thing. I don't think we should screw around with the meaning of the text of the card.
Yeah.
Well, I think that changing infect kill would be healthy for the game.
So I can see that because it doesn't necessarily say
it on the text.
Yeah, I mean there may be some cards out there that say like if 10 poison counters mean that person loses the game. Okay, but again, that's not like a hard errata that you can make specifically for the commander stuff.
I just
either.
think they should make a universal rule: 20 infect means you're dead.
Well,
That's simple for me.
Or
for
maybe
commander, I should say.
so maybe the easier solution would be for the commander community to not touch it whatsoever, and to go back to Wizards of the Coast, and they put in a errata for the poison counters that say you get the amount of poison counters equal to half of your starting total life.
Yeah.
If they did that, then that would
makes sense
cover
to me.
all formats and commander.
Skittles would still be really good there, but that's fine. Skittles is just good regardless, though.
John doesn't know who Skittles is.
Explain.
Skithrex, the Blight Dragon, is in it. Basically, he's just an infect dragon for a 5. He's a 5.
He's a mono black dragon, really good card.
Well, it'd still be really good in the power. I think the strategy level of getting rid of half a person's life would still be there nonetheless.
Oh yeah, like Kalia decks use what's it called, Master of Cruelties to just win on the spot.
Yeah.
Just as like another example of like I win effects, but not really I win effects.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the more than 100 cards in a deck?
I hate it.
This is for people who literally want to play Battle of Wits. That's it.
Yeah,
it's
stupid.
another way of winning the game.
See, I'm okay with it. Maybe because I started playing Modern first, and with Modern you can have 60 plus cards as long as you can shuffle the deck without assistance.
No, John, this rule change is literally all over one card. If you look up Battle of Wits, this rule change is being called just so people can have an alternate win condition in blue.
It's stupid, I think.
If that's specifically the only reason, that's stupid. If there's other arguments
specifically
for it,
the only reason.
Yeah, I see no other reason to have 200 card decks unless you're playing that really weird 250 card format.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a big issue with it, but at the same time, 100 cards is still a lot to work with. So, Okay, we're coming up on a half an hour almost already. So we'll start plugging along with this. Okay, how about death triggers? I had thought through this one. I actually think this one is super easy to fix. Now, when we're saying death triggers or talking about it, we're specifically referring to commander death triggers, or what happens when the commander dies. Because currently,
I think
let's explain it quick first. Well, specifically, what happens is that when the commander dies, they technically don't die unless they hit the graveyard. Nothing truly dies until it hits the graveyard. But as far as commander rules currently go, when it's phasing between one or two different areas, at that point you can choose to take it back to the command zone. So technically, the the commander never dies.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Roman.
Yeah, so the thing is, I think that commanders should die. I think that they should get sent to the command zone after hitting the graveyard. Now, I know this is going to make a lot more commanders bust it, but it just makes more sense. Like, if the opponent has something that triggers when they kill a creature, if they kill your commander, they get no benefit from that whatsoever.
Well, again, I think this goes back to my argument that I've been saying is you should not screw around with the text on the card, and if something's saying it dies, it should die. Like, the expected reaction is for it to die. Now, with that said, I've been giving it some thought, and I think this is a super easy thing to fix. Instead of having the point of interaction of changing the placement of the commander in between that phase, just change the rules so that way it says immediately upon entering a different zone, it may be placed back into the command zone. Because at that point, whether it's exiled, whether it's in the it goes to the graveyard, you have that opportunity then and there, and then all triggers that are on magic cards still occur.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm kind of impartial on this one. Like, it would make Prosh insanely busted already, even more so, I should say. Like, so I'm kind of iffy either way.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about Commander, and we'll go into that more in depth in a second, but, I mean, it's a very versatile format, and things are going to evolve to deal with those kinds of things. So, okay, the last one on our list for tonight is Planeswalkers as Commanders, other than the ones that say.
Yes.
No. I'm a big old no.
Okay.
I think that any legendary commander, I think they made a good choice when they started printing cards as legendary, or Planeswalkers as legendary. I think any legendary Planeswalker should be counted as or could be counted as a commander. Now, they already have some commanders out there that say this card can be played as a commander. People are already doing it, like in certain play groups. So I don't see why not. If your community's calling for it, you might as well hand it over to them, but at least make the benefit out of it. Now you can print non-legendary and legendary Planeswalkers.
Well,
This gives the whole concept to the uncommon and the rare. There's uncommon planeswalkers, there's rare planeswalkers, there's mythic planeswalkers.
Well, wouldn't that break the general rule of thumb as far as a legendary goes, or a planeswalker goes, though? Like, aren't they inherently legendary because it's a very specific
Well, you
thing?
can literally make the rule that only legendary planeswalkers can be played as commanders.
Aren't all planeswalkers legendary, though?
They're being eroded as such.
They're being eroded to such, but you can then change it back. I mean, this is only a print thing.
I'm honestly iffy on it, but I don't like the idea at all.
Why?
I just like the thought of having Jace the Mind Sculptor as a commander just rubs me the wrong way.
I mean, but you can already have Teferi as a planeswalker, and he's even more busted.
He's broken, that is true.
Would there be any detriment to have something like Nissa, who shakes the world, as your commander, other than getting extra mana out of it?
No, not really. Because it's you can have Vorniclex, which Vorniclex is way worse than Nissa can ever be.
That's true.
There's not a planeswalker out there that doesn't have a alternative commander that is just way worse.
It would take some convincing on my part, but honestly, I just don't like the idea.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like,
and it's personal preference, honestly.
People are already using it. People are already doing it at this point, so it's like you might. Like,
if your playgroup wants to do it, great. I just don't want to do it.
I'm kind of indifferent.
It's all personal preference.
I'm indifferent about it. Like, I think it makes sense kind of to do it just because they're considered a legendary thing. So, I mean, I guess why not? But at the same time, it's not denoted as a creature, so it's pretty easy to say just legendary creatures can be your commanders, and that's it.
I like how they're doing, like, planeswalkers they specifically dictate can be commanders, that's fine. Otherwise, no.
I think that definitely adds some more like the collector's value to that because you want to seek out those cards. But I honestly don't know one way or another if it has any benefit or not to it otherwise.
So the thing is, people would just want to, or I guess Wizards could just start printing more planeswalkers that say can be used as your commander.
If they do that, that's fine.
But for all of that, they might as well just erode it to say all legendary commanders can be played.
Well, they are legendary.
Or
they are
legendary planeswalkers.
Like if you look at the mythic, what are they called? The promo things from guilds.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called. Every single planeswalker in them were eroded to legendary.
Well, what I'm saying is they might as well save themselves the ink and just say, hey, legendary planeswalkers can be used as a commander.
Well,
honestly,
go ahead.
No, it's fine. I'm indifferent on it, honestly.
Well, keep in mind all of that might be completely moot, too. I mean, we have 9 Planeswalker decks coming out, I think it's next month, plus the whole Commander thing, or Commander Legends, or whatever it's called, coming out closer to the end of the year. We could very well see an influx of Planeswalkers as commanders in that, and that could make all of this completely moot. So,
yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, we should start winding this down here. Commander itself is a very broken format, and it's very versatile. There's always going to be a way to solve a rule with everything that's there. So I think we need to make sure we're looking at this as the sake of making Commander better, and not just progress for progress sakes, or making things easier just for easiness sakes. That's perfect. Well, that's good English.
Not really.
No, it's awful. But so we need to be careful of going too far with that, and like putting our demands out into the public for these kinds of things, because no matter what you do, unless you start making drastic bans and drastic rule changes, Commander is always going to be a broken format. And when you nudge one thing one direction, it's going to have drastic effects in the other direction. So keep that in mind. That's more to the audience than to you guys, but
yeah.
So, either of you have any final thoughts on this before we do the in-house plugs and the final card pick of the week?
No, I'm good.
No, all right.
Okay. So with that said, it's time for the shameless plugs.
You do that.
You guys really have to stop doing that. Both of you need to stop doing that.
We'll figure out something else. So don't forget to go to cycleanddredge.com and listen to all of our past episodes. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that happy stuff. And we post our podcast in as many places as possible, including YouTube and Apple and Stitcher and Spotify. So subscribe to us there. Also, don't forget to visit Lang's Library. It's a new deck building and library management app. It's still in beta phase, but we're working out some of the kinks and adding features pretty regularly. So now's a great time to start using it. And we have the camera scanning feature app, and so you can start putting in your cards and everything and playing around with it and giving us feedback and all that kind of stuff. I mean, now's the best time to get into it, because if you want to see specific changes made, it's easier to do it when the app is starting than after everything is fully built later on. So, okay, that's it for shameless plugs. I won't do any kind of fancy outro then.
We'd like to thank our sponsors over
Nope,
at EDH Rec.
We're not sponsored by EDH Rec.
But we do have a link in Lang's Library to EDH Rec.
Yes,
because they're our sponsors.
Well, they're not our sponsors.
Because those guys are great.
Yeah, and Lang's, damn it, Roman. The EDH Rec is a great website to go and do research for cards and commander decks. So with that said, anytime you look at card information for a specific card, it's going to have an EDH Rec link right there. So it'll take you to that specific card's page, whether it's a commander or not. So
also, if you're watching on YouTube, John will link our affiliate link to TCG Player.
Nope, we don't have one.
Oh.
I mean, by all means, go to TCG Player and buy stuff, but we don't have an affiliate link.
Go to Card Kingdom as well.
Yep. Likewise, go to Card Kingdom.
And Channel Fireball.
I will say I do prefer Card Kingdom. Again, non-affiliated whatsoever, but they've been...
What about Flipside Gaming?
Actually, I haven't used them, so I don't know.
I never have either. Shout out to Flipside.
Yep. Like them as well. All right, let's go do our actual card picks of the week and not the random card picks of the week, and we'll shut this down for the week. Who wants to go first?
Mine is Captain Sisay.
Captain Sisay. Is this because you got the...
Yeah, it's because I got the Secret Lair.
Okay.
I purchased the International Women's Secret Lair, and Captain Sisay's art is absolutely phenomenal. She's 2, a green and a white, and tap her to search your library for a legendary card, reveal that card, and put it into your hand.
So, quick question.
Pretty good.
Does the International Women's Day thing for the Secret Lair actually go towards anything for women?
$25 went towards a charity for them.
For each package?
For each one who bought the Secret Lair.
Okay, I was wondering about that. I wish they would have made that a little bit more public. But...
Yeah, it was on the buying page, but that's it.
Okay. I thought they might have been doing something like that, but I actually see anything advertised, so I wasn't sure. All right, Roman, do you want to
Also,
go
I'm
next?
planning on getting the Thalia one,
Okay.
just so you know.
If they come out with more cartoonish ones like they did with Leon and War Leader, I'm going to be all over
These
that
are
one.
anime ones.
Yeah. All right,
Either way, Roman's up.
Roman, do you want to go next?
Sure. It is. Where'd it go? Here we are. Tempt with Discovery. It has an effect called Tempt and Offer. Search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Each opponent may search his or her library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. And then for each opponent who searches a library this way, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Then each player who searched a library this way shuffles it.
I was thinking about putting this in my Mogus deck.
Mogus?
Well, you cannot
you
put
haven't
this in
seen that.
Mogus deck.
Or maybe it's Carador.
Yeah, Carador is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, totally Carador.
I don't know. I was
Abzan or Rakdos.
playing around with a couple of them, and it was one of those two.
Mogus is a Rakdos god, where
Yeah.
Carador is Abzan.
Yeah. All right, so my pick of the week is Grave Titan. It's 4 plus
Nice.
2 blacks to put out. It's a creature giant, 6/6 with Death Touch. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield.
He's pretty good and a part of a cycle.
There's actually a call to try and get this guy make all the Titans a commander at one point, along with the Nephilim.
You know how horribly good Primetime would be if he was a commander?
Well, he's banned,
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, Primeval Titan as a commander is scary.
so it would literally be everyone but him.
Yeah. Everyone but Primetime.
No.
Either way.
Okay. All right, guys. Do either of you have any final thoughts for the week?
Next week on Dragon Ball Z. I don't know.
We haven't decided next week's episode yet.
We should just do
clearly on
commanders.
Top or picks for commanders?
Like not only picks for commanders, but like our creature types we want to be commanders.
That could
Like
be fair.
like the Nephilim, for example. Like everyone wants them to be commanders, but I want to think outside the box. Get like something weird, like a sponge.
Like a cat.
I want Goblin Lackey to be a commander.
I want
No,
to.
I don't mean like the traditional commanders. We need to think outside of the box. Get like Oofy commander,
Squirrel.
Yeah, Goblin Lackey.
Squirrel.
a squirrel commander, not just an unset commander, but a real squirrel commander.
Yeah.
Tune in next week on Dragon Ball Z
Why can't Goblin Lackey be a commander?
because
All
I
right.
said so. That's why.
With that said, it is dinner time and I am hungry, so we're gonna sign off.
I'm not. I
Oh,
had dinner.
Sorry. Well, I mean, sorry for me.
Why
I
are you
guess.
sorry?
I don't know. All right. I'm gonna go eat, everybody.
See you guys later.
Yep. Until next week, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.
I'm Raven.
I'm waving too.
I'm not.
Shut up, Roman.